going wide open, hoping for a little taste of that unknown. Living in a fast car, living in a fast car days.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Checkers, Wreckers, and What the Heckers. My name is Chad Bearden. I'm a country music artist, content creator, and NASCAR super fan. Joined as always by my illustrious co-hosts. Please allow me to introduce them to you. Buckle up and hide your grandmas, because entering the podcast studio like a wrecking ball filled with bourbon, bad decisions, and bold opinions is the man who once wrestled a raccoon in a Waffle House parking lot and won. He's the verbal vandal, the chaos commander, and yes, the follicle phenom whose flow is so glorious it has its own zip code. He's louder than a chainsaw at a church picnic, slicker than a greased up pit crew, and more unpredictable than your ex's text messages at 2 a.m. Hide your microphones and maybe your wives, because Rick is on the mic.
All right, Bearden, you're getting a little lengthy again with the intros, but thank you. Love it. Follicle phenom. I'll stick with I've never wrestled a raccoon to my knowledge.
You just don't want to share.
He is from Ohio.
No reason to take shots at the national champions. Let's move on. Who else do we got that's bigger and better than me?
All right. Before he ever held a mic, he held the title of the fastest man in North Carolina. 0 challengers, and allegedly outran a state trooper on foot with a bush light in his hand. He's got a full heart of horsepower, a brain full of bad ideas, and a mouth so reckless his high school banned him from giving the morning announcements. He once started a bar fight at a Cracker Barrel just by making eye contact, and rumor has it he lost his virginity in the back of a pace car during a red flag. Buckle up and strap in, because Chris, the Supreme Court Justice, has called court into session.
That's
every now and then there. He hits one.
That was the ticket right there.
Supreme that one I'm writing down.
Yeah, that's a good one to have right there. Supreme Court. So I might change my name there from CJ to Supreme Court.
I like it. All right, guys, welcome back in. Excited for another edition. We have a great guest today, but before we get to that guest, I want to remind everybody our guest episode is being brought to you by Chord Buddy. If you've ever wanted to learn to play guitar, you can now do it on day one. You strap that thing over the neck of your guitar, follow the color-coded tabs, and you're playing hundreds of your favorite songs. On day one, Chris Justice, you bought one of these things. You got it. You're breaking it out. You're trying it. You're going to learn guitar, right?
That's absolutely. Like I said before, I bought it over COVID to learn while I was home, but I built hot rods instead. So, but we're going to break it back out, and we're going to jam on. We're going to have a jam session live somewhere soon, so stay tuned.
That's right. This thing is awesome. It's been endorsed by celebrities like John Rich from the band Big and Rich, and it was on Shark Tank. The founder, Travis, secured a deal on Shark Tank. He sold millions of these things. He's making guitar players out of wannabes on day one. So head over to chordbuddy.com. Check out their full assortment, their full line of products. They've got the Chord Buddy. They've got the Uke Buddy. They have their own line of guitars. Also, all these, every time you get a Chord Buddy, it also comes with a songbook. It's going to teach you all these songs on day one. Day one. Check it out, chordbuddy.com.
Chris, can I add real quick for all of our phonetic phenoms? See how I did that with the follicle phenom?
I like that.
It's CHORD, buddy, because my dumbass, when you made the first announcement, looked up CORD, and one such exists, but I think they have something to do with vacuum cleaners. So chord, like strum a chord on a guitar.
Yes, chord as in guitar chords. Chord, CHORD, buddy.com.
Copy.
All right, let's get into our guest here. Tonight's guest isn't just a hero. He's the kind of guy Chuck Norris tells bedtime stories about. A battle-hardened Marine, a walking Purple Heart, and the only man brave enough to jump out of a perfectly good airplane just to make your tailgate party more American. He once stared death in the face, and death blinked, then apologized. He's dropped into war zones, NASCAR races, football games, and probably a few weddings just for fun. He's not a free falling through the clouds with Old Glory on his back. He's out inspiring the kind of patriotism that makes a bald eagle weep tears of bourbon. So buckle up, America, and hide your daughters because the man, the myth, the shrapnel stopping sex symbol is here. Give it up for the one and only Samuel frickin' Deeds.
That's right.
Hey, that's
That's
right.
right.
Welcome, 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 Mr. Deeds.
Hey, thanks for
Mr.
having me,
Deeds,
guys.
that is. Yes,
How are you,
sir.
man? It's been a while
Good,
since I've
good.
seen you.
Yeah, it's been a Military Bowl a couple years ago, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, this last year we got weathered out before we even left home. So yeah, it's been terrible the past couple years up there for us. Season as a whole is going good for us. We're getting ready to get really, really busy. College football is coming online. So the last half of the year for us, while everybody else is winding down, we're just gearing up and get ready to go.
Yeah. So I want to back up and kind of start from the beginning and tell your story here. So when did you join the Marines?
I stepped foot on the yellow footprints at Paris Island on June 4th, 1997. I enlisted into the Marine Corps the year prior and stayed roughly a year in the delayed entry program. But yeah, coming out of Howland, Maine, recruited out of Bangor, Maine, left out of Portland, and then plane ride to, I think we went to South Carolina, maybe, and then a bus ride to Paris Island. I don't remember too much about it because it was like 0 dark 30. And then the next thing I know, some dude's on the bus yelling, and I'm like, what did I get myself into? But yeah, 13 weeks there, and then off to the School of Infantry at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, where I stayed until 2001.
So what were you raised in a military family? What made you want to join the Marines?
Man, our school had my class, 83 people graduated my senior year
Wow.
from, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 different towns. There wasn't much to do. You either went into the lumber industry or you found a job for one of the local construction companies, contractors, whatever. My dad, I learned later in life, my dad was a Marine. He passed away when I was 8 from leukemia, so I really didn't know too much about it. But like two of my grandfathers were in the service, both Army. I had a couple uncles, great uncles that had served in the Army and the Navy during Korea, Vietnam, but no one really talked too much about it. I did automotives in high school for my junior and senior year. Had a friend that was a mechanic, then got into NASCAR and worked for Jeremy Mayfield for a little while and some of the other guys in the Busch series when it was the Busch series. And then I thought that's where I wanted to go. And then after 2 years of automotives, I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So maybe I just had a bad experience with it. But I think it was my junior year, maybe my sophomore year, I would see the recruiters come to the school and just it piqued my interest. And I'd go up and talk to them, and they all kind of blew me off, except for the Marine Corps recruiter. He answered the questions I had. He was genuine with his answers, what I thought, and then I later would learn that yes, he was genuine with his answers. Right? You always hear the horror stories about recruiters and lying to people and this, that, and the other, and sometimes they just don't tell the full truth, right? But and then of course that dress blue uniform. I mean, who can turn that down, right? A chance to earn the title of a Marine and wear that uniform. I mean, it's a panty dropper. It doesn't matter how old you are. You throw that thing on with your medals, and it's just like people drool over you.
Yeah. So you went in pre 9/11. How did that day change things for you?
So for me, I was on recruiting duty. I was out of our recruiting station, Louisville, Kentucky, and my substation was Fairfield, Ohio. And I was on my way to Cincinnati to grab documents on a kid that I was trying to put in and listening to the radio, listening to Howard Stern. And, he talked about how there was a fire in lower Manhattan. And then he explained what was going on when that second plane hit. I still went and got my docs. By the time I got back to my recruiting office, I had to park at the high school and walk to the office. There was no place to park. I mean, there were people from Korea, Vietnam that wanted to come back in. And they're like, put me in, Sarge. I'm like, old timer, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but it's time for a younger generation to step up. There's nothing we can do for you. You're a little too seasoned for us. But for us, my mission was 1 to 2 guys, girls per month. And then after 9/11, the Marine Corps decided to go from like 180,000 to 210,000. And our mission went doubled, sometimes tripled, depending on the month and the ship mission and the goal. So for me, it was a lot more work, just being a recruiter. And then, but on the flip side, Kentucky Speedway had the truck series and the Bush series, and we'd go down there and do the color guard for that. And then, oh my goodness, like every single opening day for the Cincinnati Reds or the Bengals or the Horse Park. I mean, we were always doing something, especially right after 9/11. The Moose's Lodge, the Elks, the VFWs, the Legions. There was just so much support around the military that we were always out in the public doing whatever. I mean, I can't tell you how many meals I didn't pay for. It got to the point that my wife, when we were dating, she's like, "You're done wearing your uniform. This is stupid. We're going to go out on a proper date and not be interrupted." So it was, pull off the uniform, go out to eat, put the uniform back on, and start recruiting again. And then I rotated back to the Fleet Marine Force, back to Camp Lejeune. And I want to say maybe less than 10 days after I got to Lejeune, I was deploying to Haiti for combat operations that turned into humanitarian operations. And then we got back from there, and it was training cycle after training cycle and instructor cycles, and then taking the battalion to learn and teach them what I had learned as an instructor. And then it was the deployment to Iraq. And we ended up leaving early for Iraq, like a couple months early, to help facilitate the first election. So we left January 15th, 19th, something like that of 2005. And then February 19th, on a foot patrol on the way back from an Iraqi National Guard base to Abu Ghraib is where we were stationed. I was involved in an IED attack. Took minor shrapnel injury, nothing big deal. Had a grade 2 concussion, would be later diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. And then I came to and saw 2 dudes and started chasing them across this muddy field and ran through some houses, and then they disappeared. I came back to the platoon, and one of my Marines gives me this big chunk of mud. I'm like, "What do you want me to do with that?" He's like, "Sergeant Deeds, that's your pistol." I'm like, "What?" And I looked down, and my pistol had come out of the holster and had been dragging behind me by the pistol leech. And every time it hit, more mud would grab a hold of it. It took me like, I don't know, 3 hours to clean that thing. It was ridiculous. Smokes. And then 30 days later, I'll send up a vehicle checkpoint. I was involved in a second IED attack. This one would send me home. So 67-ish days in country, blown up twice. So the second one, we were tasked with setting up a vehicle checkpoint on the northern end of Kandari Market Road, which was the road just to the west of Abu Ghraib prison. And we had walked through there earlier that day and didn't see anything too out of the ordinary. I mean, there were people out there doing work and construction, and there's a market that's right there too. So just business as usual, what it seemed. And then when we went back out that night, there was a huge rock pile on each side of the road. And I noticed it, and I stopped my guys and went up and looked at it. Didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Still didn't feel comfortable. Sent my guys around it. And then we set up on the north end. And as I was getting ready to call the engineers to come in and take a look at it, I heard a noise from behind me, and it was 2 of my Marines approaching what was the suspected danger area. I went back, told them to clear the area, get out of here, run. And as soon as I turned, the device was detonated. So I was probably, 8-10 feet behind the Humvee when it was detonated. And then when I came to, I was about 5-10 feet in front of the Humvee. After crater analysis and everything, they determined it was like a 155, which is about 6-inch at the base shell, just packed full of whatever, plus the rocks. and there was one on each side of the road, detonated simultaneously. And when my guys went back out, they found the wires still sparking on the battery that the guys had attached it to. So they watched the entire time our movement out from Abu Ghraib, me giving directions to everybody, setting the vehicle in place, moving the vehicle because I still didn't feel comfortable. And then when I went back to warn the guys, it was detonated, and they were hoping that I would not be here. But they said if I would have been probably 12 to 18 inches in any direction, I'd been nothing but a sponge on the road, is how bad it was. So I suffered a 1/3 open tibia fracture, multiple shrapnel wounds to my lower thigh, my upper thigh, my right groin. I broke 2 metacarpals in my left hand. I took a piece to my forearm in my left hand, took a piece to my right hand, and I got a piece in my head so that they can't explain where it came from because I didn't have any puncture wounds. But yeah, tourniquets were tied, morphine was given, and right back into Abu Ghraib I went, and took me right into surgery. The doctor there did a phenomenal job putting an external fixator on me. And then once I got stabilized, they transferred me to Landstuhl, Germany for more medical evaluation, and then to Andrews. And it was Bethesda. Walter Reed was separate at the time. So the doctor from Bethesda came over, and he's like, "You're going to be able to keep your leg. We're just going to send you back to your home hospital." And I kind of freaked out a little bit because there was no discussion up to that point about me, losing any limb whatsoever. But once I realized that it was for my betterment, right, and me not to worry, back to my home hospital. And the first face that I saw after I got out of the ambulance was my wife.
Wow.
Wow. That's incredible, bro. Like the first time you said you took the IED, you kind of brushed it. You went right past it real fast. Like, minor scratches.
Yeah. This one had a lot of detail.
Yeah. So it was, there was a dirt road that connected another north-south road to Kantari Market Road. We called it Propane Factory Road because there was a propane just to the north end of it. And that's where a lot of the Iraqis would come and fill their propane tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And we were marching across there, and the Army Corps of Engineers had come in earlier that day and laid probably about a 4 or 6 inch layer of hot top. So I felt safe. We did end up sending one of my Marines home. He ended up with a puncture wound in his left leg. He's still with us today. But yeah, I say it was minimal for me, but I still had a concussion. I still had, the traumatic brain injury that was diagnosed later. I still had a piece of shrapnel that entered my body. I did refuse going to medical and refuse the Purple Heart on that one. I was like, it's just friggin' scratch. No, this is stupid. And then the second one, I really couldn't turn down. They had already submitted it on my way back through country. And by the time it got approved and got to me, it was already,
it was a done deal at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you came back stateside, and what was life like then?
A lot different. I had a wound vac that they had in my lower portion of my leg. They ended up putting adjust my thing here. So there's a right there that,
yeah,
it's an IM nail that was in my leg. And they thought it had failed. I was running. I returned back to full duty eventually. And I was running, and I heard a crunch. And when they went and did the scope, they realized that I still had a hairline fracture in my leg. So they basically took that one out, reamed out the center of the bone, did a backwards ream to give me a self bone graft, and put a bigger rod in. So I still have a rod in my leg. And it was, I don't know, an orthopedic place down in Wilmington, North Carolina that did it. And I remember a good friend of mine's like, "Doc, can I have that?" And the doctor's like, "No, it's you can't have that. We got to look at it." And he's like, "You guys lose shit all the time." Excuse my French. He goes,
You
right,
could say anything here.
No, you're free. I've already crossed that bridge.
He's like, yeah, we do. So he's like, just put it down your sleeve and go away with it. So that was probably 2007. And and I completely forgot about it. And then I ended up was told that I couldn't be in the infantry anymore, that I would have to either get out of the Marine Corps or I could do a lateral move into a different job field. So looking at that, they offered me administration. After recruiting duty, I wanted nothing to do with paperwork whatsoever. No, that was a hard pass. And then they offered me counter intel, and I went and did an interview. And I had just been promoted to E6 to SAS sergeant, and the guy that was interviewing me was an E9 and master gunny. And he's like, "When did you get promoted?" "Last month." He goes, "You're going to be a gunny by the time you get out of school." I'm like, "Nope, don't want it." I said, "I can't go into whatever hole we're going to be in, only learning what I know what I learned in school." I mean, I get it, relying on your NCOs, your staff NCOs, but you're supposed to be the job expert, as the senior enlisted. And I just couldn't do that. So I lat moved to be a mechanic on the V-22 Osprey. I was there for 5 years, and I have 3 hours on the aircraft. I brought all that stuff I learned from the infantry, all that leadership, all that mentorship, all that stuff with me, and it's a completely different beast. I mean, there's a saying in the Marine Corps, swing with the wing, because they think it's easy. It's not. I mean, those guys and girls, especially the Osprey, they're working on an $83 million aircraft. And, they all have high school diplomas, and it takes that college education to screw it up, so to have them stressed out by me was not a good deal. So they pulled me upstairs to work for headquarters to be the squadron gunny, whatever that is. I still don't know what it is. I mean, I was in charge of the medical, the dental, any legal issues we had, anything that the senior enlisted, the sergeant major needed, I took care of. And then it was like drill and ceremony and all this other stuff. So I did that for 5 years. And then after, I don't know, somewhere over 30 surgeries, they're like, "Hey, you're as healthy as you're ever going to be. We're going to medically retire you." So after 14 years and change, I was medically retired as a gunnery sergeant. And it was that my retirement paperwork came in the day before my birthday. So I got promoted to gunny in 2009 on October 1st. And I was retired on October 1st, 2011. So yeah, my last rank and my retirement were both the day before my birthday. So it was a great birthday present for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It was a happy birthday.
Yeah.
So you get out of the military. How do you start jumping out of perfectly good airplanes?
Man, I was lost, like completely lost. I go from leading, training, mentoring Marines for, it wasn't the entire 14 years. And if somebody tells you it is, they're lying, because you're always a private or a PFC or a lance corporal. And, as a private first class and a PFC, a private, you're not in charge of anything. I mean, you're not even in charge of yourself half the time. So I would say probably 12 years, maybe, of leading, training, mentoring guys to nothing. Like from the time my paperwork came back to the time I was retired was 2 weeks. So I didn't have a regular transition like some of the other guys that do their 20 and retire and get out, that have that year-long period to look for a job and try to line stuff up. So I sat at home for about a month or two, and then I got a security job with a well-known shipping company, not the one that everybody orders from, but a different one. And thought it was going to be great because the security company I worked for caters to the Fortune 500 companies as well. And I get there and there's no structure. There's no leadership. I got written up on July 4th/5th, because I worked third shift, for giving somebody a threatening look. I'm like, I didn't even say anything to the dude. I just looked at him.
The different breed in the corporate side.
For a friggin' look? Are you kidding me? So I called the wife. I'm like, do I need this job? She goes, we'll struggle. We'll go paycheck to paycheck, but no, you don't. I'm like, all right, I'm done. So I quit. And it just happened to be my son's birthday too. I walked out the door. They're like, you have to write a statement. I was like, well, according to the handbook on this page in this paragraph, I don't have to do anything other than give you my badge back. And I'm not giving you that because this belongs to the airport. So I'm going to give it back to HR tomorrow when I come in. So I came home, washed all my stuff, and went back and turned it in the morning when HR was in, and walked. Never went back. And then I sat home for a couple of years, got involved with a nonprofit that their sole focus was traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress, and the veteran suicide rate. And they did a lot with NASCAR and a driver, and then there was some legal issues, and they folded. But I was their spokesperson for a while, and we raised a ton of money for them. And I want to say, I got to back up. So in 2000, I think it was 2009, September 11th, 2008, sorry. I rescued 3 people from a rip current off the coast of North Carolina after having major abdominal surgery, and was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal, which is the highest award for heroism outside of combat. It ranks 8th in the grand scheme of things in the Navy and the Marine Corps award system. Fast forward to 2013, there's a Canadian whiskey company that used to do a contest, and my wife entered me in this contest, and I ended up winning and had the naming rights to the Brickyard 400 in 2013.
Nice.
Also that year, there's a guy that I met whose son that I served with. I actually picked his son up from the School of Infantry, deployed to Haiti with him, and then he was killed a couple months after I was injured. And he's like, hey, there's a skydive team up here in Ohio that wants to do a skydive promotion jump with a couple Gold Star families and a couple Purple Hearts. Are you interested? I'm like, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. So I get up there, and the other Gold Star family member is the mom of a kid that I actually put in the Marine Corps. I recruited and served with later in 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines, and he was killed in 2006, just 2 weeks before he was supposed to come home. Matter of fact, 10 days, 11 days from today is his anniversary. So I did a jump with them, and then a year later, they had they call it Team Fast Tracks Warrior Weekend to Remember. They brought in 27 Purple Heart recipients and the 1 Gold Star family. We met another Gold Star family while we were there. They were in charge of the range. So it's a multi-gun shoot, multiple aircraft. We did a Reds game, and then just obviously some skydiving because it is a skydive team that puts on the event. And then a week after that, they were doing an event right here close to the house, a celebrity softball event, charity event. And one of the guys got too close to another one and lost air in his canopy and dropped about 20, 25 feet and ended up breaking his back right there on the field. So all the rest of the jumpers were taking care of him and helping medical. And then I hear somebody from the event say, man, it's going to be another half hour for them to get their gear. So I jump over the fence and I start gathering up their gear and get it to their truck. And then a week later, I got an invitation to the team from the team owner. And he's like, submit the application, you're going to be a shoo-in. I'm like, I ain't doing that. No. So that year, they jumped Kentucky Speedway, and they're like, hey, we want you to come out and just be honorary ground for the day. So one of my guys, I say my guys because I am on the team now, jumped in with, I can't remember if the checkered flag or the green flag, and handed it off to me. And I ran it over to the starter and, gave it to them, and then sat there in the pits and watched the race with the team. And then got an invitation to do the University of Cincinnati jumps, like every home game I was at. So the 6 home games they had that year at Nippert Stadium because their stadium was being rebuilt. And then the Marine Corps Marathon came up, and they're like, hey, you're a Marine, come with us. I'm like, all right, I'll go. So we jumped into the Marine Corps Marathon, the guys landed right outside Arlington National Cemetery. And then Military Bowl came around that year, 2014. And I walk in the team room and my boss just throws the team hat at me. He goes, "You're on the team. We'll worry about this application later." So here I am 11 years later, still haven't put in an application. Not allowed to jump anymore. So I've not had the opportunity to jump with the flag. Unfortunately, I'd love to, but the doctors and my boss tell me no. So my wife being my boss, my new commander in chief. But I do ground safety work. So I communicate with the aircraft when it's time for them to get out of the plane. I'll walk the area. So like we did Atlanta one year, and I'm walking the area towards turn one where we're going to land. And I find this, I don't know, piece. I guess the trucks had the race before and wrecked and just carnage everywhere. And I found, I still got it here at the house somewhere, a piece off one of the trucks, and just threw it in my bag and forgot about it. And, my guys land and away we go. But now we have a system where once my guys are out of the plane, girls are out of the plane, I can key up my radio and talk to them and let them know, hey, the wind shifted 90 degrees here, the wind's picked up, so they can adjust on the top end before they hit that when they get down to my level. But yeah, I do a lot of PR for them, do sales. So I'm heading out to Vegas in December for an air show conference. And then of course get to do, NASCAR and football and weddings and birthdays and, whoever else wants to pay us to jump, we're going to come in and jump for you. But
That's cool. And that shirt you're wearing there is from that Brickyard deal?
It is, yeah. So
I
was
just
2020
looked it up in the background.
That was 2013?
I thought it. Yeah,
It was.
I just looked it up in the background. I
Hey,
remember
guess who
that.
won that? Guess who won that race in 2013?
Yeah, I know. I got it right here.
I know who
Yeah.
won that race. It was
Yeah.
Ryan Newman who
Yeah,
sat
Ryan
on the
Newman.
pole.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
Yeah.
So
this guy was there too with you.
Yeah. So I became friends with a couple crew members, and one of them is still a crew member. Matter of fact, his driver won the Brickyard this year. And the other one was a gas man, and he got out a couple of years ago. He used to work with Casey Mears and then moved over to Petty after they closed shop with, oh my gosh, with the 13 crew closed shop. He moved over to Petty.
Gotcha.
And then he moved to Hendrick and was with Hendrick for a while. And then he retired or got out, got done. But yeah, so I still stay in contact with them. I got close with Kurt Busch, so I've been a fan of his since he entered the sport at driving trucks. And then I was a number 3 fan. I was a senior fan. I mean, I remember watching him with gold and blue or yellow and blue, and then the transition to becoming the Intimidator and the black. And I was like, whoever falls in that car is who I'm going to follow. So I started following Harvick and the rest of his career. And I was happy to see a 3 back in victory lane this past weekend. Sorry for the guys that aren't with that team, but I mean, it's a long time coming this year for Childress, because I mean, they've just had heartbreak after heartbreak, right?
Yes,
Chris,
they have.
what were you? Were you the changer on that team?
No, I was in the IT world at
Yeah,
that
he was
point.
IT.
You're
Yeah,
I was
already-
I was IT and for Stuart
2013.
Haas when he won that from the pole.
Yeah.
Kissing
So
them
we
bricks at the
rode.
end.
Yeah, I was at Eldora, so it was the first time they had the trucks on dirt that year on the Wednesday. So I was at that race, and then the next day I had to go over to Indy to do all the PR stuff, and they had the Rolex Series was there that year, and I got to be the grand marshal for that. I mean, that was cool as heck. And then just all the pomp and circumstance that Indy is, right, for the Brickyard. And so I climb up in the truck after driver intros of Ryan, and we talked Eldora, I think, until turn 1. The rest of that lap, we talked about fishing on the pond that's on the inside. That's all we talked. He's like, man, there's some great bass in here. If you ever get back up here and fish, that's all we talked about was fishing for the rest of the lap. And that's
That
a
sounds
long
about
ass
right.
lap,
That's
going
right.
at truck speed. But it was fun. It was great, get to know him. And then I saw him at Daytona maybe a year or 2 later. And I was like, how's my trophy treating you? And he looked at me, he goes, oh, yeah, it's on my desk. You got to come in. I was like,
Your
yeah,
name's on it.
I'm going to come in and sign the damn thing is what I'm going to do.
Did they give you one of those?
No, but I do have, hold on a minute.
Because usually you could buy replicas of those, Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, they offered that up for us internally for Sam Mayer winning in Iowa. I bought one.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I've got a huge brick, and then it's got, I don't know, it says Indy Indianapolis Motor Speedway 2013 on top.
Yeah,
So
that's badass.
That's legit.
when
Big
Crown
time
did the
legit.
announcement, they actually put a yard of bricks in at the park next to my house. Well, in the next subdivision over in the city park. So there's a yard of bricks, and then I think there's 5 bricks that like guys that I served with or family friends from back home they contacted, and they got little sayings. And there was when we went over there was a hole, and I got to place the last brick, which was the official race logo and everything in that hole. And then they gave me one to keep. So yeah, I don't have the trophy. I mean, that thing's heavy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to present the trophy to Ryan. Hold on a minute. I'm going to go off screen real quick.
Well, that's cool, Chris. You were connected before he came on, and you didn't even
It's crazy.
know it.
Didn't even know it. Small worlds.
Yeah,
Small world.
That's what this does. It just brings
Yeah.
all the worlds together.
It's crazy.
So I got to present the trophy to Ryan, and then ran into him at Bristol later that year, and he signed this photo for me. And then he signed. I got one of the checkered flags too, that says the Samuel Deeds 400. So Ryan signed that too. But I picked up that thing. I'm like, man, this is heavy. So they bring him into victory lane, and do the whole pump circumstance and get out of the vehicle, and then he comes to me, and then they cut to commercial, and I was like, bro, this is heavy. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, no, seriously, it's a pretty stout. I mean, I know you're a pretty stocky dude, but here, I'm going to hand this to you. That way you don't freaking drop when I hand it to you. So he takes it and he goes, holy cow, this is heavy. I mean, it's not a huge trophy, but it is freaking heavy.
It's got a brick on it.
Yeah, it's got something on it. But man, it was just a cool experience, and just talking with Ryan, and we like I said, he shifted from racing to fishing real quick. I mean, he's an outdoorsman anyway, but no, it was just a cool experience, and now being able to go to the different tracks with the skydive team and jump into the different tracks and get to experience a different part of it, that you really don't see as a fan in the stands, right? Unless you know somebody or can get hot passes or whatever. It's cool. And then the guys that work in the sport, if you ask them a question, they'll answer it for you. I mean, I don't know how many friggin' lug nuts I got from guys just throwing me friggin' lug nuts. Give this to your kids. I'm like, dude, I got like 50 of these at home. But no, it's been a great opportunity with Team Fast Tracks, and I'm not ready to slow down yet. So that is my, I guess I can't say full-time job because we're seasonal, like the NASCAR teams are, but we pick up February and we'll go all the way to the end of December. So we get about 2 months off in our season. I sit on the steering committee, so it's nice to be able to look and make some of the decisions to improve the team and see where we're lacking, if you will, in other areas. And then I've heard bourbon and whiskey so much today, but we actually partnered with a distillery here in Frankfurt, and we made our own. Oh, I shut that.
Uh-oh, Ricky.
We made our own blend. Yeah, so it's Team Fast Tracks. It's a 5-barrel blend. But
that's pretty cool.
Is that local only, or how do we taste that?
It is not on their website yet, and it's supposed to be. I'm making a trip down there this week to find out why it's not on the website yet. But it's 116 proof that drinks like a 90, and everybody that's had it says straight up, no rocks, no nothing, just straight up,
just nice and neat.
Yeah, man, is the best. Is the best.
Attaboy.
So, and then I've got some other ones I've worked on too, and those are online right now. But once the Team Fast Tracks bottle gets online, I'll send Chad the link and you get it to you guys. Gotcha. They can ship to I think 45 of the 50 states. So, Hawaii's not one, Alaska's not one, Michigan's not one, but I'm sure they can go to North Carolina.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Or if I'm coming that way, because we did Charlotte, UNC Charlotte last year. If it's on the schedule this year, if it's not online, I'll get a couple and bring them down.
You're right here if you come to UNC. It's my wife's alma mater. Ricky, you've been quiet. I know you got questions.
No,
Bring them on.
I'm kind of blown away by the whole thing, just taking it all in. I'm all the way back to like I think you were in Maine, and like I think people who watch this would be like, so you make the decision. It sounds like you went with the Marine recruiter because he was honest, he had integrity, and he answered your questions. You get whisked off. Is boot camp as tough as they say it is?
Ooh. So in 1997, yes. Um, I'm not gonna say it's hard. It's a culture shock more than anything. If you are physically fit,
That was another question I wrote down. So you're
yeah.
there, you're a senior, 83 people are in high school with you. Are you already kind of a fit physical fitness guy?
Yes, I played basketball and soccer.
Okay.
So I played basketball all through high school. My
Yeah.
senior year, I decided to play soccer. We didn't
Yeah.
have football. Being a small school, we couldn't afford it. But I ran. As soon as I entered the
That
delayed
covers
entry
it.
program, I knew that the Marine Corps physical fitness test was a 3 mile run.
Mm.
I ran 3 miles almost every single day until winter. And I'm like, no, that's not happening because it gets cold up home, man. I've been there the last three Thanksgivings, and it snowed on us in Thanksgiving. I was there in April for my son's spring break, and it snowed on us every single day that I was there.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I mean, it gets chilly, but yeah, it is. It is. If you're not fit, it's going to be a struggle fest for you. If you are not conducive to good discipline and order, and you think that you're going to beat the drill instructor's tail,
Not a chance.
it's going to be hard for you. If you shine above everybody else, they're going to know your name more than anybody. If you're on that lower end and you're on the struggle bus, they're going to know your name. If you're anywhere in between, they're going to be on graduation day. They're going to be like, "How long have you been in my platoon?"
Interesting.
So,
So I haven't told, I don't think I've told any of y'all of this yet, but my son is going in. He's decided in the past 2 weeks that he wants to be a Marine. So we are in the middle of that process right now. But so yeah, he's about to get signed up and shipped out. So I'll be experiencing that from the dad side. So
I went back to Paris Island. I think it was July 5th this year for the first time, really, since I've graduated. And I had to go to the exchange and get something. And so much at Paris Island has changed, but so much has not. They have integrated females. We didn't have that. Like we graduated with 2 female platoons, but we didn't train alongside them with them. They might have been at the rifle range with us. They might have been going through the crucible at the same time. They might have gone through the gas chamber around that same time, but we were not integrated with them. We didn't do any training with them whatsoever. I didn't have any female instructors whatsoever. So some things have changed. Over the years, the Marine Corps is the only one that really hasn't lowered their standards. And that's not just me saying that. I mean, you got SecDef that's saying it. You've got the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps that's saying it. The previous Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is saying it. The Marine Corps is still full of guys and gals that believe in the rich histories and traditions of the Marine Corps, and they try to keep that. But it's a culture shock for sure, and it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You can be coming from small town USA, or you be coming from, the Big Apple. You're going to experience some things that you've never experienced before. I don't care how much your football coach or has yelled at you during your 2-a-days. It's not the same.
So I first met Sam. We back what year was that, man? To 2021, 22?
Yeah, somewhere in 21, 22.
Yeah, 21, 22. I was out in the middle of a tour, and I have a friend who at that time was running an organization called Patriot Point, which is a retreat for veterans on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And we were we were going up to Maryland for a couple of tour stops, and he called me and said, "Hey, man, um, what do you think about uh, coming up and maybe playing some songs for a group of veterans here at Patriot Point?" And first of all, he's the kind of guy that, he's former commander of SEAL Team 6. I mean, when he calls, you pick up the phone and you go. You don't ask any questions. You just go do it. But not that it was ever a question. I mean, that opportunity for me was easy. But what I went into it, just it was an honor for me to get to go play for these guys and play some songs for these guys. But I did not expect the life-changing events that would happen for me there. So I got to go in, play some songs for these guys, hang out with them throughout the day. We had dinner together, and we're sitting in the living room of this cabin, and I was just playing kind of whatever they wanted to hear. They were requesting all kind of songs. I mean, literally everything from Garth Brooks to
Everything.
Taylor Swift, and and these were all guys. This particular trip, uh it was mostly special forces guys, right? And then there
Yeah.
were a couple of um you know again, just incredible guys. But so I played some songs for them, and I played a song that I'd written with a couple other guys called Whiskey Anymore. And I played that song, and I finished the song, and everybody's just kind of staring at me, and there's like tears in their eye, in some of these guys' eyes. And so then I try to play something else and change the mood. And one of the guys said, "Hey, would you play that song again? The Whiskey Anymore song. Is it okay if we video it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll play whatever you want. Video away." So I played the song again, and then the way that those guys connected to that song and just told me their connection to that song was just incredible. And then afterwards, I got to hang out with them. And um, in my experience previously with military guys, and especially guys who have gone through really traumatic events like these guys had, um, they're not big talkers when they come to that, especially to somebody who did not serve, did not share those experiences. But they let me inside of that circle that night, and they talked with me about the things they went through, and I left that place just absolutely changed. And so I was telling some buddies about it, and they said, "Man, you should record that song, and you should go back to Patriot Point and shoot the video there." And so I was like, "Man, I would love to, but it's really expensive, blah blah." And there was a guy from Maryland, from that way up there. His name's Eddie Conway, who he said, "Hey, tell me how much it is." And he wrote a check. And then the next day, a guy named Max Martini, who is he's a big Hollywood actor, director, writer, called me and said, "Hey, man, tell me about this song and this vision you have for this song." So I told him, and he said, "If you'll have me, I'll come direct it for free." And then he called
Oh,
a guy
wow.
named then he called a guy named Corey Weintraub, who was a cinematographer for the Avengers. He shot the Avengers movies. So he called him and he said, "I'm in." And then they called a guy named Tim Solano, who's a big Hollywood editor. He edited Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire and just all these epic Hollywood movies. And anyways, it was insane. I've never had anything move so fast. Within 3 weeks, we had recorded the song, we had a script, and we were on a plane. We went back and shot this video there, and it was incredible. The whole experience was incredible. We brought in another group of veterans to be a part of it, and it was a really cool experience for me. I mean, number one, just to be a part of those guys, but I felt like I got to tell their story. So I got to tell Sam's story in a different way, and that led to I was the entertainment for the military bowl that year, which may I have to that was 22 20. Yeah, it's on the
Yep.
thing on the ball over there. But and then so it was awesome because Sam's company was jumping that event. So and they do a really cool job with the military bowl. So they bring in um all of the Medal of Honor winners who are available to come. So you're talking the highest honor that you can get in the military. They fly them all in, and I got to play that song and show the video for these guys. They played the video behind me while I sang it, and these Medal of Honor guys gave me a standing ovation. These guys won the
Oh,
Medal of Honor,
wow.
and they're clapping for me. Like it's just mind blowing. But it was really cool to get to do that event with Sam. We met on the 50-yard line before the game and got to hug and catch up uh and that song took off and opened a lot of doors and changed people's life, mine included. But it was just incredible the outpouring of messages we got and people reaching out talking about that video. And that video with nothing, it would be nothing had it not been for those guys. And Sam was one of those spearhead guys who headed that up. And man, I could never thank him for that experience and for all of that. So super cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you deal with the trauma that we dealt with, right, that we experience, there's a few places to turn, and the bottle's one of them. I mean, it was nothing to spend $400 or $500 a weekend on the bottle. I didn't do it during the week because I knew I had to work, but on the weekend, watch out. And so for me, you're on my playlist. It's sober, whiskey anymore, and just God. That I mean, in order, because that is just basically the transition that I took. I wouldn't have done a lot of the things that I did had I been sober. And then because of medical reasons, I had to stop. So, that's no whiskey anymore for me, even though I have all this bourbon. Um, and
That's
then,
fine. You got friends to share it with.
yeah, right. Yeah. And then just God, just that, turning to him and just giving your life to him. And, there's things that happen and, why am I here? Right. And then it's led to, some different recognitions, which is whatever, right? You get that hero word friggin' thrown at you for different things. And, even though on the Navy and Marine Corps medal, the word heroism is imprinted on it. You have to risk your life in order to receive that medal. It used to get signed off by the president. It was a year process for that to get approved.
Yeah.
But it's not that, man. It's they're doing everything that I do now with the team. And every single week jump that we do, we dedicate to a fallen service member or a fallen first responder, and we take a photo with us. So I mean, if you guys are at the race and you see us just stopping behind pit road and we're all lined up with a piece of paper, that's a photo of a fallen service member. And we then pass that photo off and tell the story of that service member and ask that person, carry them with you. Don't forget them.
That's
So
incredible.
it's you have impacted me as well, and being able to be part of that. And I was in Alaska fishing, and Chad's like, "Hey, we're gonna do a reveal of this video. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm in Alaska fishing, but yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll be available for sure." So it's been a cool experience, and had I known that you were in Charlotte and not down in Alabama, I would have got a hold of you last year and come in and stayed for a little bit longer than I did. But we flew in, flew out that day.
Well, we're going to catch up again for sure. So, real quick, we won't keep you much longer, but I want to know what are your, if give me top 3 favorite jumps that you guys have done. Where have you jumped into? That
It's so hard, man. I would say everybody that's participated in it, it's probably the number 1 or top 3 on their list. We do Independence Hall in Philly every single year around Flag Day, which is also the Army's birthday, right? So June 14th, every single year we jump into that lawn area right in front of Independence Hall. And then we do Veterans Day there as well, usually for their parade. Going back for me, going back to Indy 2 or 3 years after I had the naming rights, when one of a Navy SEAL, Jason Redmond, had the naming rights that year, and he named it after his coalition. Being able to bring that performance to Indy. And we brought in the Purple Heart flag, brought in a huge American flag. I think we brought the 5,000 that year, 5,000 square foot American flag into Term 1 that year. And then the Purple Heart flag, we brought a checkered flag in. I think we brought the Honor and Remember flag in that year as well. And then we go to Japan every year and perform for Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni for their air show. But I mean, there's just so many. We did the 100 years of March at March Air Base out in Riverside, California. And going back there was a turning point for me as well. We were sitting on the tarmac there, getting ready to load our plane, and our battalion commander comes over and says, "Hey, boys, go home and love on your wives and kids. We're leaving early for Iraq." And then 10 years later, I'm on that same airfield, and we're jumping 26,000 square feet of American flag into that air show. So I mean, there's just so many. I mean, I really can't pick three, because each one is so special and so different. And I think the Military Bowl, obviously, for what it represents, and we get to meet the recipients too, because after they get introduced on the field, they come over and see us and talk to us. And there's a lot of them that I've known for years. Yeah. Woody, since before he passed. We not only is he was a Marine, I'm a Marine, we share the same birthday. But it's just, you get to know these guys and know every single one of them. That medal is not them. It represents all those guys that couldn't come home. And, and that's why we do the recognition and the honoring of those that aren't with us, because as long as you say their name, they're never going to die.
Yeah. So to bring it back a little bit, we talked about the Whiskey in the Morning music and how it brought a lot of things together. Did you have a go-to song pre-jump that you would always rock out to kind of get you in the groove there? Or?
Anything but Jump or Free Falling. And everybody asks us, what song do you guys want us to play to pump up the crowd? I'm like, just don't play Jump and don't play Free Falling. Find something that's upbeat, something that's good. What's cool is we do Virginia Tech once a year. I don't care what college team is your favorite team. I have never been in a stadium that has the atmosphere and the energy as Lane Stadium when that first boom from Enter Sandman hits. That dong, that's it. It goes friggin' nuts. I mean, when you're registering on the Richter scale, something's going on. And I mean, granted, it's only a mile and change away, but still, the energy there is crazy. And it doesn't matter who they're playing.
Well, man,
there's not one, some AC/DC, some Metallica, some Pantera, something that's upbeat and just gets the crowd into it. That crap every single skydive video from the 90s, when the 80s and 90s, when those two songs came out, that's all that the intro was. I mean, come on, we're sick of it. Give us something different.
Right.
I can understand that. Man, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you sharing your story. We appreciate what you do. You're a guy that I've reached out to several times when I've come across veterans that need help. You answer every time. You send resources, whatever it is. But I know that you're a guy who's out there working every day to help keep a spotlight on our soldiers when they come home. It's so easy for people to clap and cheer when they come home and then forget that these men and women have to transition back into society. And it's a very hard thing. I say that just looking at it from the outside, from watching people do it. But I appreciate the role that you take in that. I appreciate the advocacy that you do for our service members. And I appreciate the person that you are. And thanks for coming on and telling us about this. It's been special.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I held it in for years and let it build up, right? So if you have a hole, eventually it's going to fill up and overflow, right? And that's what happens. You get that soul wound and you keep shoving stuff into it and it comes out. And sometimes it doesn't come out in a great way. We were at Darlington one year and this dude didn't take his hat off for the national anthem. And I wanted to friggin' kill him. And it hadn't
Sure.
been for my buddy that was there with me grabbing me and be like, hey, we'll handle this later. I probably would have been in jail that night.
Yep.
But I mean, they ended up escorting him off and asking him to leave. But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, you talking about it has allowed me to help others, right? If, my struggles can help one person, that's it, one person. And then that person's struggles can help one person and so on and so forth. This suicide epidemic that we're going through with our service members will eventually come to an end. Stop holding everything in. You got to realize that you're not alone. There's people that have experienced things that you've experienced or gone through similar situations. You still have worth and value no matter what you've been through. All right. I can't run. I can't play hockey. I can't go skiing. I can't, I've been told all these things I can't do. But the one thing that I do have and I can do is run my mouth, right, to help others.
Yeah.
So my worth and value has changed from my injury to now. You just have to figure out what your worth and value is now. You don't have to succumb to your demons. You don't have to be a product of the environment you grew up in. I mean, there's just so many things that I learned from misfortune and getting blown up a couple of times that it took me years to realize. And one of those was, sitting on the stage at Barrett-Jackson in front of, millions of people at home, the 1,000+ people there, and listening to my struggles of post-traumatic stress being read on national television. I broke down like a baby in front of everybody. And Mr. H is sitting in front of me and Jeff Gordon's sitting in front of me. And I'm acting like a friggin' fool, tears coming down my eyes, my kids beside me. But, I can't tell you how many people reached out to Barrett-Jackson to reach out to me to say, thank you. You are helping me, like people from overseas and everything. So it's not just about the service members here. I mean, there's a lot of things here for our service members in the United States, a lot of organizations. Canadians don't have anything. The Europeans don't have anything. I mean, there's guys and girls, the Australians, that have gone through all this that don't have what we have here. Take advantage of those opportunities. You signed your name on the line. You don't get to pick and choose when your battle is, but you can pick or choose how to win that battle.
Powerful. Thank you for dropping those gems on us right there.
We appreciate you, man. It's been a great episode. If people want to see the schedule of where you guys jumping, is there a place where they can go see that?
Man, we used to put a schedule out, but it is forever changing. Like we were supposed to have Iowa State this coming weekend or next weekend, and they scrubbed us and moved us to next week. So it's hard to keep up. But I will say on the 30th, we'll be at Navy, we'll be at Mississippi State, and we'll be at Indiana University. And then we have some IHRA stuff coming up too. I think the following weekend, the 5th and the 6th, wherever IHRA is. And then I'm in Kansas State on the 6th.
Nice.
So yeah, the rest of this year, I'm not going to be home during the weekend at all. It's go time. Other than my wife and I are going on a cruise on October 5th to the 12th, so we get some alone time.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Before I get
Nice.
back into the swing of things of just being gone every weekend.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you. Good talk. Thank you for sharing. You guys be sure to check that out. Leave your comments there. And another great episode. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Mr. Deeds. Support
Thank
the
you.
Thank you
vets.
so much, man.
Appreciate it.
So I went wide open, hoping for a